I found the text message at 2:47 a.m. My daughter was sleeping in the next room, my husband was supposedly on a business trip, and my entire world was about to shatter. But here's what no one tells you about affairs. The discovery is just the beginning. The real story is what comes after. And if you're watching this because you're going through something similar, or you're worried about how this kind of betrayal affects children, stay with me, because what I'm about to share could change how you see everything. My name is Peace, and this is the story of how my ex-husband's affair didn't just end my marriage. It changed my daughter's childhood, my identity, and taught me things about love, betrayal, and resilience that I never wanted to learn. But I'm sharing this today because maybe, just maybe, my pain can be your guide. And I promise you, this story doesn't end where you think it will. Before we begin, I need to tell you something important. If you're going through this right now, you need to hear what happened at the end. So please watch until the final 5 minutes. Because that's where I'll share the one thing that saved both me and my daughter. And it's probably not what you expect. Let me take you back 3 years. On the surface, we had everything. A beautiful home in the suburbs, a successful marriage of 12 years, and a bright, joyful 8-year-old daughter named Emma. My husband, David, was a marketing executive. I was a graphic designer working from home, which gave me flexibility to be there for Emma. We were the couple other people envied. We hosted dinner parties. We took family vacations. We posted smiling photos on social media. David kissed me goodbye every morning and texted me sweet messages during the day. We had date nights. We talked about our future. But here's what I've learned. Perfect is often just a filter. And behind our filter there were cracks I chose not to see. Looking back, the signs were there. They always are, aren't they? But when you love someone, when you've built a life with someone, your brain becomes an expert at explaining away the unexplainable. David started working late more often. Big project, he'd say. You know how it is. He became protective of his phone, taking it everywhere, even to the bathroom. When I noticed, he laughed it off. Just habit, he said. He started going to the gym obsessively. New clothes appeared in his closet. He began using cologne I'd never smelled before. There were business trips that seemed to multiply. Weekend conferences. Client dinners that ran late. Each time he had a perfectly reasonable explanation, and I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him, because if I didn't believe him, what did that say about my judgment? About my life? About everything I'd built? So I pushed down the whisper of doubt. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure, controlling. I focused on being a better wife. Maybe if I was more attentive, more attractive, more understanding, the nagging feeling in my gut would go away. Spoiler alert. It didn't. During this time, Emma was thriving, or so I thought. She was in 3rd grade, excelling in school, taking dance classes twice a week. She was a happy kid with a gap-toothed smile who still believed in magic and thought her parents hung the moon. David was a good father. I have to say that because it's true, and the truth is complicated. He attended her dance recitals. He helped with homework. He read her bedtime stories in funny voices that made her giggle. When he was present, he was fully present. But looking back, I can see he was present less and less. More travel. More late nights. More distraction. Emma would ask, "Where's Daddy?" And I'd make excuses. "Working hard for us, sweetheart." I was protecting him. I was protecting her. I was protecting the illusion. Children see more than we think they do. I know that now. It was a Tuesday in October. I remember because Emma had a field trip the next day, and I'd stayed up late packing her lunch, making sure everything was perfect. David was in Chicago for a 3-day conference, or so he'd said. I couldn't sleep. That gut feeling had been getting louder. Impossible to ignore. At 2:47 a.m., I did something I'd never done before. I opened his laptop. I'm not proud of it. Or maybe I am. I don't know anymore. His email was logged in. I saw her name immediately, Rachel, a coworker. I'd met her once at a company holiday party. She was young, 28, ambitious. She'd complimented my dress. The emails went back 6 months. 6 months of "I can't stop thinking about you," and "When can I see you again?" and plans to meet in hotel rooms. 6 months of a parallel life I knew nothing about. I sat on our bedroom floor and read every single one. Some people say they wish they hadn't looked at the details. I needed to know everything. I needed to understand exactly how big the betrayal was. There were photos, messages that were so intimate, so personal that it felt like being stabbed repeatedly. This wasn't a drunken mistake. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a relationship. He loved her, or thought he did. The emails said so. He'd taken her to places we'd talked about visiting. He'd said things to her he used to say to me. He'd built a whole secret world, and I'd been completely blind to it. At 5 a.m. I called him. He answered groggy, confused. "What's wrong? Is Emma okay? Who's Rachel?" I asked. The silence that followed told me everything. Then came the denials, the excuses, the "it's not what you think" script that every cheater seems to have memorized. I hung up. He called back 17 times. I didn't answer. The morning after, Emma woke up at 6:30, excited about her field trip. She bounced into my room asking if her lunch was ready, chattering about seeing the science museum. I hadn't slept. I'd cried until there were no tears left. My face was swollen, my eyes red. But I smiled at my daughter, told her everything was ready, and got her to school on time. That's what you do as a parent. You function. You compartmentalize. You protect them from the adult pain that would crush their child-sized hearts. I dropped her off, watched her skip into the building with her backpack, and then I sat in the parking lot and fell apart all over again. David flew home that day. He walked into our house like a man heading to his execution. Maybe that's dramatic, but that's how it felt. We sat at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd eaten 1,000 meals, where Emma did her homework, where we'd laughed and planned and lived, and we talked. Or rather, he talked and I listened, and I tried to understand how the man I'd loved could become a stranger. He was sorry. He said it over and over. He didn't know how it happened. It meant nothing. He loved me. He wanted to fix this. But here's the thing. It meant nothing is the worst possible thing you can say. Because if it meant nothing, you destroyed our family for nothing. And if it meant something, then everything we had meant less. I asked him the questions everyone asks. Why? How long? Did you love her? Do you still? Did you think about me? About Emma? When you were with her, did we even exist? His answers didn't matter. Nothing he said could unbreak what was broken. I didn't make the decision right away. Everyone wanted me to. My friends said, "Leave him." My mother said, "Think of Emma." His mother said, "Everyone makes mistakes." But it was my marriage. My life. My choice. We tried couples therapy. We did the work of trying to rebuild trust, which is like trying to unscramble an egg. David ended things with Rachel. He quit his job to avoid seeing her. He gave me passwords to everything. He answered every question, no matter how painful. For 3 months we lived in this strange limbo. Emma knew something was wrong. Kids always know. She became clingy, anxious. Her teacher called to say she'd been quiet in class, withdrawn. She started having nightmares. And that's when I realized, staying together for the kids can hurt them more than splitting up. The conversation I never wanted to have. When do you tell your child that her father betrayed the family? How do you explain adult failures to someone who still believes in fairy tales? Emma was 8. Old enough to know something was wrong but too young to understand the complexity. I talked to a child psychologist who specialized in family trauma. She helped me find the words. David and I sat Emma down together on a Saturday morning. She knew it was serious because we were both there. Both looked sad, both holding her hands. "Daddy and I need to tell you something," I began. "We love you so much. You're the best thing that ever happened to us. But Mommy and Daddy are going to live in different houses." Her face crumpled immediately. "Why? What did I do?" God, that question. Like a knife to the heart. "Nothing, baby. You did absolutely nothing. This is about grown-up problems between Mommy and Daddy. This has nothing to do with you. But I can be better. I'll clean my room every day. I'll get better grades. Emma." David's voice broke. "This isn't about you. You're perfect. This is about me. I made some very bad choices and now things have to change." We didn't tell her about the affair. The therapist advised against giving her details. She was too young to process. We just said Daddy had broken trust and Mommy needed space. She cried. We all cried. It was one of the worst days of my life, watching my daughter's sense of security shatter. The impact on Emma was immediate and devastating. This bright, confident child transformed into someone I barely recognized. She started having separation anxiety. Every morning, dropping her at school became a battle. She'd cling to me, crying, begging me not to leave. "What if you don't come back? What if you disappear like Daddy?" David had moved out to an apartment 2 miles away. He had Emma every other weekend and one weeknight. But in her mind he'd left. He'd abandoned her. Her grades dropped. She stopped participating in class. Her dance teacher called to say she'd lost her enthusiasm. going through the motions without joy. At home, she was either completely withdrawn or having massive meltdowns over tiny things. A broken crayon would trigger an hour-long crying fit. She'd slam doors and scream that she hated everything. At night, she refused to sleep alone. For 6 months, she slept in my bed, startling awake from nightmares about monsters, fires, people leaving. She developed a stutter she'd never had before. "WW, where's Daddy? WW, when is he coming?" She started hoarding food in her room, hiding snacks under her pillow like she was preparing for abandonment. She asked questions constantly. "Do you still love Daddy? Does Daddy still love you? Does Daddy love me? Will you leave me too? Are you going to get a new family?" Each question was a small devastation. I carried enormous guilt. Had I done the right thing? Should we have stayed together? Was I being selfish? Was I putting my pain above her stability? I second-guessed everything. Maybe if I tried harder. Maybe if I'd been more forgiving. Maybe if I prioritized the family unit over my own hurt. But then I'd remember. I didn't create this situation. David did. And staying in a broken marriage would have taught Emma that betrayal is acceptable, that women should tolerate disrespect, that families should live in resentful silence. Still, watching your child suffer because of choices you didn't make, that's a special kind of torture. Emma started seeing the child psychologist weekly. First, she refused to talk. She'd sit in silence, arms crossed, glaring. Slowly, through play therapy and art, she began expressing what she couldn't say in words. She drew pictures of our family, always with her in the middle, a giant space between me and David. She built houses out of blocks and then knocked them down repeatedly. In one session, she lined up stuffed animals and had them each leave one by one until she was alone. The therapist shared this with me, and I sobbed in my car for an hour afterward. The breakthrough came after 3 months. Emma finally said what she'd been holding inside. "I'm scared everyone I love will leave. I'm scared it's my fault Daddy left. I'm scared you'll stop loving me too." Hearing your child articulate those fears you can't fully fix because the damage is done, is indescribable. I'd been trying so hard to be gracious, to co-parent civilly, to never badmouth David in front of Emma. But watching what his choices did to our daughter ignited a rage I didn't know I was capable of. He got to live in an apartment, date, rebuild his life. I was dealing with a traumatized child every single day. I was the one holding her through nightmares. I was the one explaining why her family was broken. I was the one watching her confidence crumble. There were moments I wanted to scream at him. "Look what you did. Look at her. Was she worth this?" I had to channel that rage into something productive. I started exercising intensely, running until I couldn't think anymore. I journaled page after page of fury. I talked to my own therapist twice a week. Because Emma needed at least one parent who was stable. And some days being that stable parent took everything I had. To be fair, and fairness feels generous given the circumstances, David was devastated by what happened to Emma. He hadn't wanted this. He'd been selfish and stupid, but he did love his daughter. He showed up for every custody exchange. He went to therapy himself. He read books on helping children through divorce. He was patient through Emma's anger, her rejection, her testing. There were times Emma screamed that she hated him, that she wished he'd go away forever. He took it. He apologized. He never made excuses. One night he called me sobbing. "I destroyed our family. I destroyed her. How do I fix this?" "You can't," I told him. "You can only be there consistently and let her heal in her own time." It wasn't the answer he wanted, but it was the only honest one I had. While everyone focused on Emma, as they should, I was falling apart in ways I couldn't show anyone. For 12 years I'd been David's wife. That was part of my identity. Mrs. David, last name. Emma's parents. The couple who hosted Thanksgiving. The family in the Christmas card. Suddenly I was just me. And I didn't know who that was anymore. I'd lost weight without trying. Food tasted like cardboard. I'd eat just enough to function and then push the plate away. Friends said I looked great. I felt empty. Sleep was impossible. When Emma finally slept, I'd lie awake replaying everything. What had I missed? When did I become so unlovable? What was wrong with me? Because that's the insidious thing about betrayal. You don't just lose trust in the other person. You lose trust in yourself. Your judgment. Your intuition. Your worth. I became obsessed with Rachel. I'd stalk her social media. I know, unhealthy, but I couldn't stop. I analyzed every photo. What did she have that I didn't? She was younger, obviously. Thinner. No kid. No stretch marks. No exhaustion. She could stay out late, be spontaneous, be fun in ways that motherhood and marriage had taken from me. I'd stand in front of the mirror examining my reflection with brutal honesty. The lines around my eyes, the gray hairs, the body that had birthed and nursed a child, the tiredness that went bone deep. I wasn't young anymore. I wasn't carefree. I was a 39-year-old woman whose best years felt behind her, or so I thought at my lowest moments. Then there was the money situation which no one prepares you for. Lawyers are expensive. Splitting one household into two is expensive. Everything became a negotiation, a battle. David wanted 50-50 custody, but didn't want to pay significant child support. I'd been working part-time to be available for Emma. Now I needed full-time work, but I also needed flexibility because Emma needed me more than ever. I had to sell my car and buy a cheaper one. We moved from our house to a smaller rental. Emma lost her big backyard, her playroom, her sense of home. I took on freelance projects at night after Emma slept, working until 2 or 3 a.m. to make ends meet. I was exhausted all the time, running on coffee and adrenaline and desperation. The lifestyle we'd had, vacations, dance classes, eating out, small luxuries, evaporated. Every expense became a calculation. Could we afford it? Did we really need it? Emma noticed. Why can't we do that anymore? Why did we have to move? I miss our house. More guilt. More failure. Friends tried to be supportive, but they didn't really understand. Their marriages were intact. They'd say things like, "You're so strong," or "Everything happens for a reason," or "At least you found out now." None of it helped. The married friends gradually stopped inviting me to couples events. I was now the odd number. The reminder that marriages can fail. The uncomfortable truth nobody wanted at their dinner party. Single friends wanted me to go out, date, get back out there. But I was exhausted and broken and trying to keep my daughter's life together. I couldn't be fun party friend. I existed in this in-between space, belonging nowhere. There was also shame I didn't expect. Like I'd failed at the most important relationship of my life. Like everyone was judging me, wondering what I'd done wrong, thinking, well, maybe if she'd been more. More what? More attentive? More sexy? More agreeable? More perfect? I'd done everything right. I'd been a good wife, a good mother, a good person. And it still wasn't enough. That realization that you can do everything right and still be betrayed is earth-shattering. 6 months after the separation, I hit what I now recognize as rock bottom. Emma was struggling. I was struggling. Money was tight. I was sleep-deprived and anxious and barely functioning. One night after Emma finally fell asleep, I sat on my bathroom floor and thought, I can't do this anymore. I'm not strong enough. I didn't have suicidal thoughts, but I had thoughts of just disappearing. Starting over somewhere else. Being someone else. I called my mother at midnight, crying so hard I couldn't speak. She drove over immediately, held me while I fell apart, and then said something that changed everything. You're not falling apart. You're breaking open. And when you break open, that's when the light gets in. My mother stayed with us for a week. She took over, made meals, helped with Emma, forced me to shower and sleep and eat real food. And she told me hard truths. You're not just surviving for Emma anymore. You're modeling survival for Emma. She's watching how you handle this. What are you teaching her? That question haunted me. What was I teaching my daughter? Was I teaching her that when life breaks you, you stay broken? That when someone hurts you, you never recover? That betrayal defines you forever? Or could I teach her something else? That you can be broken and rebuild stronger? That your worth isn't determined by someone else's choices? That you're more than what happened to you? I made a decision. I was going to fight. Not against David, that was energy wasted. I was going to fight for myself and for Emma. Fight to rebuild. Fight to heal. Fight to create something beautiful from the wreckage. I started with small, manageable goals. Get 8 hours of sleep or at least rest each night. Eat 3 actual meals a day. Exercise for 30 minutes, even if it's just a walk. Talking to strangers who knew nothing about my story, it was liberating. Slowly, piece by piece, I was rebuilding a self that existed independently of my broken marriage. I stopped being passive about money. I took a financial planning course. I met with a financial advisor. I created a budget and actually stuck to it. I raised my freelance rates. I pitched bigger clients. I started saying no to underpaid work. I got a part-time position with a design firm that offered flexible hours and benefits. Within 8 months, I was making more money than I had during my marriage. I was supporting us. I was independent. That shift, from financial anxiety to financial confidence, changed everything. I wasn't a victim of circumstance. I was capable. I was valuable. David and I reached a détente. We'd never be friends, but we could be civil co-parents. We used a co-parenting app that eliminated having to talk directly. All scheduling, all communication went through the app. It removed the emotion and made everything transactional and clear. We agreed on consistent rules across both households. Same bedtime, same expectations, same values. We never ever badmouthed each other in front of Emma. Was it easy? No. There were still moments I wanted to strangle him, but I realized my peace was more important than my anger. Emma's healing wasn't linear. There were good weeks and terrible weeks. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But gradually, very gradually, I started seeing glimpses of my daughter returning. The nightmares decreased. She started sleeping in her own bed again. First with me sitting nearby, then with just a nightlight, then finally alone. Her stutter faded. She started raising her hand in class again. Her teacher reported she was smiling more. She made a new friend in her new neighborhood, Lily, who became her constant companion. Having a peer who knew nothing about our family drama was healing for her. I realized Emma needed new memories, new traditions. Stop looking at Rachel's social media. Do one thing daily that brought me joy. These sound simple, but when you're in the depths of trauma, they're revolutionary. I'd been in therapy sporadically, but now I committed fully. Twice a week, I'd drop Emma with my mother and go sit in that office and do the hard work. My therapist helped me understand something crucial. Trauma doesn't just need to be processed emotionally. It's stored in your body. I was carrying the betrayal in my shoulders, my jaw, my stomach. She introduced me to EMDR, a therapy technique that helps process trauma. It sounds weird. You recall traumatic memories while following hand movements or sounds. But it worked. Slowly, the memories became less sharp, less overwhelming. We worked on cognitive reframing. Instead of "I wasn't enough," I learned to say, "His choices reflect his character, not my worth." Instead of "I failed at marriage," I learned to say, "I gave my best to someone who didn't deserve it." Instead of "I'm broken," I learned to say, "I'm healing." Words matter. The stories we tell ourselves matter. I started asking, who am I without him? What do I actually enjoy? I'd lost myself in marriage and motherhood. Not in a bad way, but it happens. You become mom, become wife, and forget you're also a whole person with interests and dreams. I started painting again. Something I'd loved in college but abandoned. I set up an easel in the corner of our small rental and painted whenever Emma was occupied. I read books. Not self-help books about healing from affairs. I was drowning in those. I read fiction. Escapes into other worlds. Romance novels where things ended happily. Fantasy where heroines saved themselves. I took a pottery class on Saturday mornings. Emma would go to David's and I'd spend 3 hours molding clay, getting dirty, creating something with my hands. I joined a hiking group. Being in nature, moving my body. That weren't tied to the broken past. We started adventure Saturdays. Cheap or free adventures around our city. Museums, parks, hiking trails, festivals. We'd pack snacks, bring a camera, and explore. Emma started documenting these adventures in a scrapbook. She'd write about what we did, paste in photos and ticket stubs. This gave her something positive to focus on, new stories to tell. We started a tradition of Friday movie nights. We'd make popcorn, build a blanket fort, and watch a movie together. Emma got to pick. It was our time. I taught her to cook. We'd make dinner together, creating recipes, making messes, laughing when things went wrong. These small rituals, they stitched together a new version of family. Different from before, but still ours. As David became more stable in his new life, his time with Emma improved too. He moved to a larger apartment and set up a real bedroom for her. Not just a pull-out couch. He decorated it with things she loved. He made it feel like her space. He started planning activities instead of just existing with her. They'd go to the zoo, the aquarium, out for breakfast. He'd help with her homework. He'd attend her dance recitals. Emma started looking forward to her time with him instead of dreading it. And here's something that surprised me. I started appreciating the breaks. Those weekends when Emma was with David, I could rest. I could socialize. I could just be me. Alone time, which I'd feared, became restorative rather than lonely. When Emma was 10, 2 years after the separation, she wrote something in school for a "What I'm Grateful For" assignment. Her teacher sent me a photo of it, and I cried reading it. I'm grateful for my mom because she's the strongest person I know. When things got really hard, she kept going. She taught me that you can be sad and still be okay. She taught me that families can be different and still be full of love. I'm grateful for my dad too because he made mistakes but he's trying to be better. I'm grateful that even though things changed, I still have two parents who love me. She was processing it. In her own way, in her own time, she was making sense of the trauma. And she was okay. She was going to be okay. Children are more resilient than we give them credit for. But here's what I learned. Resilience doesn't mean they don't hurt. It means they can hurt and heal simultaneously. Emma still has moments. She still worries about abandonment sometimes. She still asks questions about the separation. But she's also confident, happy, thriving. She's doing well in school. She has friends. She still dances. She laughs, really laughs every day. The trauma didn't define her. It shaped her, yes, but it didn't break her. Because I didn't let her drown in it. I got her help. I stayed stable for her. I showed her that hard things can be survived. 18 months after the separation, my friends started pushing me to date. You need to get back out there. Don't let him win by staying single. You deserve to be happy. But the thought of dating felt absurd. Terrifying. Exhausting. I trusted someone completely, and he'd betrayed me. Why would I ever trust anyone again? Plus, I was a package deal now. Not just me, but me and Emma. Who would want that? Dipping my toes in. Eventually, I tried. I downloaded dating apps, more out of curiosity than genuine interest. The dating world had changed since I was last in it. Everything was online now. Swipe left, swipe right. Judge people on 6 photos in a bio. I went on a few dates. They were fine. No horror stories, but no sparks either. One guy seemed promising, kind, funny, stable. We dated for 2 months. Then he met Emma, and I watched him interact with her, and something felt off. He was polite but not warm. Patient but not genuine. I ended it. Because I refused to bring someone into our lives who wasn't all in. Then I met Alex. Not on a dating app, at my pottery class of all places. Alex was recently divorced too, with a daughter Emma's age. We started talking after class, swapping co-parenting war stories, laughing about the absurdity of starting over in your late 30s. It wasn't romantic at first. Just friendship. 2 people who understood each other's journey. Then one day Alex asked me to coffee. Real coffee, not just after-class conversation. And then dinner. And then suddenly, unexpectedly, I was dating again. What Alex taught me is that not all love looks the same. My marriage to David was passionate, intense, consuming. It burned bright and burned out. With Alex, things were different. Calmer. Steadier. We were both older. More honest about our flaws. More intentional about communication. We took things slowly. Alex met Emma after we'd been dating for 6 months, not 2 weeks. We introduced our daughters as friends first, not as mommy's new partner's kid. There was no pressure to merge households, get remarried, recreate the nuclear family. We were 2 independent people who chose to share parts of our lives. Emma liked Alex. More importantly, she liked Alex's daughter Zoe. They became friends independent of our relationship. But Emma also had fears. Does this mean you're going to leave me? Does this mean you love Alex more than me? What if Alex leaves like Daddy did? We had many conversations about this. About how adult relationships are different from parent-child relationships. About how she would always be my priority. About how Alex wasn't replacing anyone or changing our family, just adding to it. Took time. Emma tested Alex constantly, was rude, was clingy with me, was skeptical. Alex passed the test by being consistent, patient, and never trying to be a parent. Just being a safe adult in Emma's life. If I could go back to that woman sitting on the bathroom floor reading those emails, this is what I'd say. I know you feel like your life is ending. It's not. It's transforming. I know you feel betrayed beyond repair. You'll heal. Not today, not tomorrow, but gradually, unexpectedly. I know you're terrified for Emma. She'll be okay. Because you won't let her drown. You'll fight for her even when you can't fight for yourself. I know you think you'll never trust again. You will. Not blindly, not naively, but with wisdom and boundaries and self-respect. I know you think this is the worst thing that will ever happen to you. It is. But it's also the thing that will crack you open and let you rebuild into someone stronger, wiser, more authentic. You're not broken. You're breaking open. The light will get in. Here's what nobody tells you about affairs. They don't just end marriages. They ripple through everything. Emma lost 2 years of her childhood to anxiety and fear. She lost her sense of safety. She lost the version of her parents who were together and happy. I lost my identity, my financial security, my naive trust in people. David lost his marriage, daily access to his daughter, his reputation, his self-respect. Our families lost the version of us they knew. Our friends had to choose sides or navigate awkward relationships. The affair cost so much more than David ever considered when he made those choices. And here's the hard truth. The person having the affair is often thinking about themselves, their needs, their desires, they're missing something. They're not thinking about the explosion that will happen when the truth comes out. They're certainly not thinking about the 8-year-old who will spend 2 years in therapy learning that sometimes people you love leave. Several things saved Emma and me. 1. Therapy, both individual and for Emma. We process trauma with professional help, not just willpower. 2. Community, my mother, my close friends, my support system. I couldn't have done this alone. 3. Routine and stability. Even when everything was chaos internally, I maintained structure. School, bedtime, meals. Kids need predictability when their world is unpredictable. 4. Honesty, age-appropriate honesty with Emma. Not hiding that things were hard, but also not burdening her with adult details. 5. Self-care. This sounds trendy, but it's real. I couldn't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of myself meant I could take care of Emma. 6. Time. There's no shortcut through grief and trauma. We needed time and we gave ourselves permission to take it. 7. Choosing forward. Every day I made a choice to move forward, even when forward was just one tiny step. This sounds strange, but there were gifts hidden in the devastation. I discovered my own strength. I learned I could survive things I never thought I could. I learned I didn't need someone else to complete me, I was already complete. My relationship with Emma deepened. We went through fire together and we came out closer. She knows she can tell me anything. She knows I'll always show up. I learned boundaries. In my marriage I'd been accommodating, conflict avoidant, always trying to keep the peace. Now I know my worth. I know what I'll tolerate and what I won't. I learned that perfect doesn't exist. My Instagram-worthy life was a facade. Now I live authentically, messily, honestly. I found community with other divorced parents, other people rebuilding after betrayal. I'm not alone in this. I found myself. The version of me that exists without a partner, without needing external validation. I like her. If you're going through this, whether you're the one who was betrayed, or you're worried about how it's affecting your kids, here's what I need you to hear. You will survive this. I know it doesn't feel like it. I know you're in the eye of the hurricane, and everything is destruction. But you will survive. Your children are resilient. They'll hurt, yes. But with support, with stability, with love, they'll heal. Don't underestimate them. It's not your fault. Read that again. Someone else's choices are not your failure. You didn't cause this. You couldn't have prevented it. This is about their character, not your worth. Healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong. Some days you'll fall apart. Both are okay. Both are part of the process. You don't have to forgive. Society pressures us to forgive for our own sake. But you know what? Sometimes you just need to let go and move on without forgiveness. That's okay too. Your story isn't over. This is a chapter. A painful, devastating chapter, but it's not the whole book. There are beautiful pages ahead. It's been 3 years since that night I found the emails. 3 years since my world imploded. Emma is 11 now. She's thriving, genuinely thriving. She made the advanced dance team at her studio. She has a close group of friends. She's confident and funny and kind. She splits time between my house and David's, and she's comfortable in both places. She has 2 homes, 2 bedrooms, 2 lives that coexist. Does she still have moments of sadness about the divorce? Yes. On holidays, on her birthday, sometimes randomly, she'll say, "I wish we were all together." And I validate that. I know, sweetie. It's okay to wish that. But she's not broken. She's not damaged. She's a whole person who experienced something hard and came through it. I'm in a very different place than I was 3 years ago. Financially, I'm stable. I took a full-time position at a design firm, and I'm excelling. I got promoted last year. I'm making more money than I ever did during my marriage. Emma and I moved into a small house, not renting anymore, actually owning. It's ours. We painted her room purple, and we have a tiny backyard where we grow tomatoes. Alex and I are still together. We're not married. Neither of us feels the need to rush into that, but we're committed. Our daughters are friends. We spend weekends together, but we also maintain our independence. I have a life, friends, hobbies, career I'm proud of, a daughter who's thriving, a sense of self I never had before. I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm living. David is with someone new. Not Rachel, that ended when his life blew up. Someone else, someone I've never met and don't need to. He's a decent co-parent. He shows up. He's reliable. He's learned from his mistakes, or at least I hope he has. Do I still have anger toward him? Sometimes. When I think about what those choices cost me, I feel rage. But it doesn't consume me anymore. He made his choices. I made mine. We're both living with the consequences. Emma's relationship with David healed over time. It took consistency. Him showing up week after week, not disappearing, being trustworthy in the small things. She forgave him in the way children forgive. Not with words, but with trust gradually restored. She lets him in again. She tells him about her life. She looks forward to their time together. Children have an incredible capacity for forgiveness when adults do the work to earn it. What I've learned about betrayal. Betrayal changes you. Changes how you see the world, how you trust, how you love. I'm more cautious now. More guarded. I don't give trust freely. It has to be earned. Some people say that's sad, that betrayal has made me cynical. But I say it's made me wise. I trust with my eyes open now. I see red flags I would have ignored before. I listen to my gut. I've also learned that betrayal says everything about the betrayer, and nothing about the betrayed. David's affair wasn't about me being insufficient. It was about him being broken in ways I couldn't fix. What I've learned about love. I've learned that love isn't enough. You also need respect, honesty, commitment, integrity. I've learned that love should feel safe, not chaotic. Calm, not consuming. I've learned that the right person won't make you question your worth. They'll remind you of it. I've learned that loving myself is more important than being loved by someone else. What I've learned about motherhood. Being a mother means absorbing pain so your child doesn't have to carry it alone. It means being strong when you want to fall apart. It means fighting for their well-being, even when you can't fight for your own. But it also means teaching resilience through example. Emma learned that life can hurt you and you can survive. That people can disappoint you and you can still love them. That families can break and reshape into something different but still whole. Those are hard lessons. I wish she hadn't had to learn them at 8 years old. But she did, and she's stronger for it. If you're the one who was betrayed, I see you. I know you're drowning right now. I know everything hurts. You're probably questioning everything, your judgment, your worth, your entire life. You're probably replaying every moment, looking for signs you missed. Stop. Breathe. This is not your fault. Say it out loud. This is not my fault. Someone else made a choice, a selfish, destructive choice, and now you're dealing with the fallout. That's not fair. It's not right. And you have every right to be angry, devastated, furious. But here's what I need you to know. You will survive this. Promise you. Doesn't feel like it right now, but you will. Get help. Get a therapist. Get a lawyer if you need one. Get a support system. Don't try to do this alone. Feel everything. Cry. Rage. Grieve. Don't suppress it or rush through it. Healing requires feeling. But also, and this is important, don't let this define you forever. You are more than what someone did to you. You are more than your pain. If you're worried about your kids will be okay. They will. But they need you to be okay. Get them help. Find a good child therapist who specializes in family trauma and divorce. Maintain stability and routine as much as possible. When their world is chaotic, they need predictability. Be honest in age-appropriate ways. Don't lie, but don't burden them with adult details. Never, ever badmouth the other parent in front of them, no matter how much you want to. Your anger is valid, but they don't need to carry it. Reassure them constantly that this isn't their fault, that they're loved, that they're safe. And give it time. Healing for children isn't quick. Be patient. If you're the one who had the affair, I'm going to be honest, I have very little sympathy for you. You made choices that destroyed people who trusted you. But if you want to minimize the damage, here's what you need to do. Own it. Completely. No excuses, no justifications, no blame shifting. End the affair immediately. No closure conversations, no one last time. No staying friends. Cut it off entirely. Give your partner space to process. Don't pressure them to forgive or stay or move past it on your timeline. Be consistent with your children. Show up. Be reliable. Don't abandon them because you're ashamed. Do the work. Get therapy. Figure out why you made these choices so you don't repeat them. And understand this. Forgiveness isn't guaranteed. Reconciliation isn't guaranteed. You broke something precious and it may not be fixable. You have to live with that. If you're watching this because your parents split up and you're trying to understand, I want to talk directly to you. It's not your fault. I know you might feel like it is. I know you might think if you'd been better, smarter, quieter, more lovable, they'd have stayed together. That's not true. Adult relationships are complicated, and when they break, it's because of adult problems, not you. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to wish things were different. All of those feelings are valid. But you're going to be okay. You're stronger than you think. And having divorced parents doesn't mean you're broken or damaged. Just means your family looks different. Talk to someone. A parent, a counselor, a trusted adult. Don't keep your feelings bottled up. And know this. Your parents' divorce doesn't define your future. You can have healthy relationships. You can trust people. You can be happy. Remember at the beginning when I said to watch until the end because I'd share the one thing that saved us? Here it is. It's simple, and maybe it will disappoint you because you're looking for something profound. The one thing that saved us was the decision to keep going. Every single day I made a choice. Sometimes multiple times a day. I chose to get out of bed. I chose to make breakfast. I chose to show up for Emma. I chose to go to therapy. I chose to take one more step forward. There were days when forward was just getting through the next hour. Days when my only accomplishment was not falling apart in front of my daughter. But I kept choosing to keep going. And Emma did too. She kept going to school. Kept going to dance. Kept showing up for therapy. Kept trusting even when trust felt impossible. That's it. That's the secret. There's no magic formula. No perfect words. No shortcut through the pain. You just keep going. One day, 1 hour, one breath at a time. And eventually, not immediately, but eventually you look up and realize you're not just surviving anymore. You're living. Maybe even thriving. The pain becomes part of your story instead of the whole story. You become someone who went through fire and came out stronger. So here we are. 3 years, thousands of tears, countless therapy sessions, and endless nights of doubt later. My ex-husband's affair did change everything. It shattered our family. It traumatized our daughter. It destroyed the life I thought I had. But here's what it didn't do. It didn't destroy me. It didn't destroy Emma. It didn't define us. We survived. We healed. We rebuilt. And in some strange way we're better for it. Not because the betrayal was good, it wasn't. Not because the pain was worth it, it wasn't. But because we learned what we're made of. We learned we're stronger than we thought. We learned we can break and rebuild. We learned that endings can be beginnings. I'm sharing this story for several reasons. First, because when I was in the worst of it, I felt so alone. I searched for stories like mine, stories of betrayal, of kids affected by divorce, of surviving the unsurvivable. I needed to know I wasn't the only one, that people got through this. So if you're in that place right now, this is for you. You're not alone. You will survive. Second, because I want people to understand what affairs really cost. It's not just two adults ending a relationship. It's children, families, entire lives appended. If you're considering having an affair or continuing one, please understand the true price. Third, because I want Emma to know when she's older that we went through something terrible together and we came out okay. That hard things happen and we face them. That she was never alone in her pain. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe Alex and I will get married someday. Maybe we won't. Maybe I'll stay at this job forever. Maybe I'll start my own business. Emma will grow up. She'll go to high school, college, build her own life. The divorce will be part of her story, but it won't be the defining part. I'll keep healing. Keep growing. Keep becoming the person I was always meant to be. The person I couldn't have become if everything had stayed comfortable. If I could leave you with one message, it's this. You are not what happened to you. You are not your trauma. You are not your pain. You are your resilience. Your strength. Your capacity to heal and grow and choose joy even after devastation. Betrayal will change you, yes. Let it change you into someone wiser, stronger, more authentic. Let it crack you open so the light can get in. And if you're in the middle of it right now, just keep going. One breath. One step. One day. The other side exists. I'm standing on it and I promise you it's worth the journey to get here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. If this resonated with you, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe for more real, honest conversations about life's hardest moments. Because we're all just trying to figure this out together.